The title of this video is Opposites in a Rational Expression, and I like to call it the -1 trick. But it says this: if you have a minus b over b minus a, that's just going to equal -1. And you can say that and just remember it, but a lot of times students are like, well, why is that? So let me try to show you why this works. So if you have a minus b over b minus a, now I'm going to work with the denominator. I'm going to keep the numerator the same, and in the denominator, I'm going to switch it around. I'm going to make it -a plus b. So first you have to say in your mind if that makes sense to you. So the negative was with the a, and then the b was positive, and I'm thinking of it in terms of addition, which is commutative, and so I could say that. All right. Keeping the numerator the same, and then in the denominator, I'm going to factor out a -1. When I factor out that -1, I get a, but then it's going to change the sign on the b, so then it's going to become a minus b. Well, then I can cancel the a minus b with the a minus b. So I get 1 over -1, which is -1. So that's why it works. You could maybe do it a different way, but that's why it works. So it's kind of an odd thing though, but if you have something like x minus y over y minus x, all of that is just going to equal -1. Okay? There's another part to this. This is the main part. I don't know that they talk really too much about the other part. It's a little more straightforward. But if you have a plus b over -a minus b, you might think, oh, those aren't going to cancel. But watch what happens. If I take out the -1 in the bottom, it changes the sign on the a and the b, and then I do cancel, and I get 1 over -1 again, which is -1. So that's another example of how you have this -1 trick. But this one right here, this is the one we're going to focus on mainly. The other one might be a little more obvious. Okay, so let's have an example where we do this. So they want us to simplify. Well, in the numerator, we would have to factor that x squared minus 4x minus 5. And it factors into x minus 5 and x plus 1. Now, again, you can stop the video, do the factoring, practice that, but that's how it factors. In the denominator, you might say, well, that looks a little odd. Normally we have the x squared first, but it is the difference of squares. And so I'm going to factor it into 5 plus x and 5 minus x. Okay, so now here comes the -1 trick. This part right here, they're not the same factor. One is x minus 5, the other is 5 minus x, but you can cancel them out because they equal -1. Now, somewhere you have to throw in a factor of -1. And I'll show you how we do that when we write the answer. So they don't just cancel and they're gone, but they cancel and we replace them with a -1. Okay, so how are we going to write the final answer? One way is to put the negative out front. Now, I would probably switch that denominator around. It kind of bugs me to have it 5 plus x. I'd probably write x plus 5. So that's probably how I would leave the answer. A lot of textbooks would leave the answer like that. If you wanted to, you could put the -1 in the numerator, like this, and that would be okay. Or you could put the numerator, or I'm sorry, the -1 in the denominator, like that. Usually we don't do this. Usually, unless there's a reason, we don't usually put the -1 in the denominator. I think you're going to see usually this answer in the books and everything, so I would go with that one. It's a little less writing. That's how I'd probably do the answer.